from WCIA 3 Plus with your hosts Glenn Kinley, Courtney Lane Brewer, and Tristan Thomas. This is the SEFCU, your Illini Nation WCIA 3-in-1 podcast.
All right, welcome in. It is the 3-in-1 podcast. We got the whole crew here today for, if I can find us, for the first time in a while. Did it pop up your name on me, Tristan?
Yes.
All right, hold on. Let's try this again. There we go. All right. And we got Courtney's on there, too. We're just going to play around. We're not going to talk about sports today. We're just going to play around with the technology.
Call us David Mirkovic because we're on the ones and twos.
Not quite DJs, but we are.
DJ Smirk.
Yeah, we're DJing up this episode. So we'll talk a little men's basketball, a little football. Tristan and I recorded an episode last week, which was quickly irrelevant. So that's
News
why
travels fast.
I always timestamp these recordings. We record them up here in this podcast room, and you know, an hour later, and certainly 48 hours later, or whenever people end up watching it on the app, it could be irrelevant in a hurry. And so last week, I think when we recorded, Tristan, we were saying we'll see who they retain. I don't even think we had David yet, did we?
I don't think so, because that was, Tuesday?
Yeah.
No, it was Wednesday because I was on my plane.
So in case the 3-in-1 podcast is the only place where you get your news, a lot has happened in the last week.
Yeah,
you'll probably like it too. David Mirkovic, Andrej Stojakovic, both the Ivisic twins, and Jake Davis all coming back for Illinois. 5-player retention. Pretty good. Pretty good. A lot of good basketball players. I think the fans are very happy about it. And I think it's exciting, I mean, obviously from the basketball perspective, but I think it's also exciting because fans get to know these guys, they enjoy these guys, they kind of fall in love with them, and hey, you actually get another year of them. It's not like, all right, we got to get to know a whole new group. Obviously, as we saw last year, you can fall in love with a group in 1 year, but even then they had some returners, and so I think this is cool for a number of reasons. Obviously, I think it's good because they were really good, but I also just think from a following it and even selfishly covering it, I think it's exciting that they bring back so many pieces of a really good basketball team.
And another thing I'm seeing on social media from other people, not our people, from friends of mine back home in Kentucky, from national reporters, is late in the season, this team got so hot on a national scale just on their personalities. Everybody fell in love with David's antics. Everybody fell in love with the way that the twins interacted with each other and all of that. So you've already hooked people who may not be born and bred Illinois fans. And now you've got those people on your side for a whole nother year.
Yeah, and just the sheer talent. I mean, like you talked about the size, that's all back. The shooting, I think you're going to be able to do a lot of the same things. You could last year with kind of playing 5 out, and you're going to take threes and get to the rim, and even losing a couple guys we can get into. I think even adding in a Stephen Vox, a guy that can shoot it, is big and long and can get to the rim as well. I think it's going to be another year of just kind of implementing that offense that Tyler Underwood wants to run. And I think, you'll see a lot of these guys, the team chemistry, like that's obviously something that's grown. And I think that's going to help them hit the ground running next year when I'm sure there'll be a loaded non-conference schedule we'll talk about and get into eventually. But it's just super exciting to have, all those guys back. Timestamp this one as well. At this moment, it looks like Illinois is out on John Blackwell.
Yeah, that's Tuesday. The 21st
trending towards Duke
at 2:42 p.m.
Trending towards Duke. That's what some of the reporting is out there, which is fine. I think if you added a guy like that, that's another major guy who's going to need a bunch of shots, and then all of a sudden you're talking about how are you sharing one basketball and getting opportunities for all these guys. And I think if it was a matter of Andre or John Blackwell, I think you take Andre with the culture stuff, but also the skill set of if he can really add that jumper and continue to progress there. He could hit one. We saw a couple in the NCAA tournament that were big. And obviously the Stojakovic name, it's hard to leave a Stojakovic open. I don't care what the numbers say, but then being able to get to the rim too, he really took over in that NCAA tournament.
If you had to choose one, I think if you're Illinois, you take Andre. If it was two guys who are both in the portal, maybe you want John Blackwell. And if you were choosing between the two of them and neither of them had been here yet, maybe you have a very tough choice there. But you have a guy who has been here for a year, who clearly loves the locker room, has a great relationship with other guys on this roster, and has bought into winning, has bought into defending and rebounding. And so why do you take Andre in that scenario? Because Andre's been here for a year, and he just helped you get to the Final Four. It's as simple as that. A full recap, I maybe won't touch on every single name, but for those keeping track at home, we're trying to. I named the 5 that are coming back for sure: Mirkovic, Stojakovic, Zvonimir and Tomislav Ivasic, and Jake Davis. And then obviously Ben, Kylan, AJ Red graduated. 4 have been in the portal.
That would be Ty, Tony Bilic, Mihajlo Petrovic, and Brandon Lee.
Brandon Lee was the 4th.
Brandon Lee was the most recent one to enter the portal. The only guy we haven't gotten an answer from, like one way or another, is Jason Jaxtis. I will say the portal closes today when we're recording this. Now, we've seen this with the women's, not at Illinois, but just in general, women's basketball. Like 24, 48 hours later, that stuff will still trickle in because of compliance, and they got to get it has to get from one to another before they're actually officially in the portal. So, like, the portal may be closed, and then the news will come out. Someone entered. I'm not saying he's going to. I haven't heard anything one way or another. I'm just saying that's the one guy we haven't gotten an answer from for sure. And then as far as guys coming in, Stephen Vox, the Providence transfer, scored 15 a game as a freshman there, and he's got some size.
Almost 16.
15-8 or something like that. Yeah. And so he's good, and they're going to be massive. I mean, they were massive this past year, but they're going to be really big. And then Quentin Coleman is now a 5-star. I think they got it fixed. I saw something that his composite rankings, he was ranked like 31st here, 32nd here, and 29th here, and then in composite he was somehow 90-something. I think they added him instead of getting the average of the 3. And so now he's a composite 5-star prospect. Whether he'll play point guard or shooting guard, we'll see. But and then you got 4 other high school kids coming in because they added Xavier Zenz, who we haven't talked about on this show yet. And so high school kid from Wisconsin, he was Wisconsin Mr. Basketball, Gatorade Player of the Year there. So they got some good players coming in, and I think Zen said one of the reasons he wanted to come here is he wanted to be around really good players that were going to make him better. And I think you have some guys who maybe understand not necessarily what their roles will be, because we don't know what their roles will be, and they don't know what their roles will be. Maybe the returners, maybe some of those guys do. But I think as far as guys coming in, I think guys are aware that they have really good players around them and that they're going to have to be unselfish. And I think that's a great idea, and that's a great concept, but having guys who maybe are aware of that going in, so it's not a surprise when you get to October or whatever, I think is beneficial. And so we'll see, what is it, 2? They have 2 spots open now with Brandon Lee gone, or 2 or 3, if they want to add guys.
Believe so, something like that. Yeah, and
somewhere in there.
And I think traditionally Brad Underwood has kept a spot open.
Well, they could add a random European guy that we've never heard of that ends up being the best player next year. You know what I mean?
You never know. Yeah.
We never heard of David Mirkovic a year from today, a year ago. So, people say, are they going to add this high school kid? Or are they going to get a portal guy? I'm like, they might get a guy that's playing, in Serbia right now.
We might add another country.
Yeah, there we go. We got Estonia now on the list, and so
I am curious. I was gonna text you guys this, but I'll say it here in case anybody has the same question I do. The portal closes today, Tuesday the 21st, right? Is there a set date that you have to have a destination?
No.
There's not?
No, I mean, you don't have to commit anywhere if you don't want.
Correct,
You just
correct.
quit playing. Yeah. So
Okay.
no, this is the last day to enter, but there's not a day you have to commit by. Now, my dad asked me a similar thing, and he's like, so somebody could wait until August? I'm like, yeah, they could, but the longer you wait, the more teams are going to fill their teams, and then there's less teams that have a spot for you and less money and all that stuff. And so I think most guys will commit sooner rather than later. I think John Blackwell had said May 4th was when he was planning to commit. Whether or not that will get sped up or not, we'll see.
It's a long way away.
Big Star Wars guy?
What?
Is he a big Star Wars guy?
Or big New Orleans guy. That's
you'd have to ask John Blackwell. I'm not too sure on that.
Slide in the DMs. Hey, May 4th. Is there significance there?
All right, we will report back to you on that next week. No, we won't. But let's get some sound bites in here. The most recent time that we had talked to the basketball team was at the Kick and Cancer event. So that was actually the night that Tommy, Z, and Jake announced they were coming back. It was a few hours after David announced he was coming back. But we heard some good stuff there from David, from Keaton, and from Brett Underwood. So we'll let you listen in here to some of what they had to say.
I think we're in a world today where, it's easy to want to move and to keep guys from one year to the next. I think we've got a very good track record of guys having improvements from their first year to their second year. You go right on down the list in the beginning, and so I'm excited about that. Guys understand that work is a part of our program, and player development is the foundation of what we do. So I expect guys to get better, and retention, so they can do that, is a big part of that.
I mean, it's probably the better team than the Final Four team from last year, and like having like most of the guys back is just we are same team, just better, 1 year older, 1 year more experience. We have a few new guys that we're trying to get them adjusted to our system, and I think they're a great fit. And like with having all of us back, it could be a new great story.
All right, let's talk a little women's basketball, and we will get to football. We'll probably take a break and then get to football. But real quick, women's basketball, same deal as far as the portal closing, but I just don't want to say all these people are back or this is the final decision, because I just never know if there's still paperwork going through or anything like that. As of right now, when we're recording this, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, Illinois women's basketball has retained their entire rotation from last season. A team that went to the NCAA tournament, they had 7-8 players that like regularly played, and they're going to return every single one of them. I don't think we can
LSU transfer.
I don't think we can like sum up how crazy that is in the year 2026. They had a few players under the portal, but I'm looking at it now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, their top 7 scorers from last season, and anyone that played more than 10 minutes a game is coming back. That's unheard of in the year 2026.
Especially when you talk about the success that Shauna Green and this program has had, the rising talent levels, the higher you get up in that, the more you have other people wanting what you got.
Yeah.
So I think, again, it says a lot about Shauna Green and the emphasis of the program of, just building the program and staying where you are and growing it and growing this program. It's been pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not like they stunk and then they said, we were able to keep everybody. Nobody wanted them, right? But no, they have some really, really good basketball players. Destiny Jackson, Sierra Parchment were fantastic as freshmen. Barry Wallace there's no reason to think she can't be one of the best players in the Big Ten next year. So that is exciting, and it's pretty cool. And again, I think there is something to be said for that from fans and even media, that you get another year of getting to know people. And I would think, I want to go out to that game, because I remember seeing that shot that Destiny Jackson hit last year, right? I remember Maddie Weber came in off the bench and hit a huge three, stuff like that. And you get to know these people. Maybe you keep up with them on social media or whatever, and you become a bigger fan or a more active fan of that team because you know the players and you're not showing up and saying, who's on the team this year? I don't know. They got 12 new players, right? And so
it's also just a continued testament of Shauna Green and what she's built here now in 4 seasons, completely turning this program around. I mean, it is unlike anything we're seeing nationally on both sides of basketball, women's and men's.
Shauna Green and her staff have continually just kind of kept relationships with players that they may have finished second or third on out of high school. Aaliyah Guyton.
Yeah, that's
and
big.
Jasmine Brown-Hager was the same, I believe. And so these players that maybe don't pick Illinois right away, and I think maybe they go somewhere to a quote-unquote bigger program that maybe historically, or even in the last 10 years, has had more success, and then they maybe either don't play there a ton, or they realize a year in, hey, Illinois is now having that success. Maybe they don't have the tradition, but they're having that success. And so credit to that staff, because you get told no, they clearly don't burn bridges and keep good relationships with those players, to have players coming to their program after they didn't land them initially. Not to look way too far ahead, but the crazy thing is we're talking about them bringing all these players back. Maddie Weber, Jasmine Brown-Hager, and I think that's it, is the list of seniors next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Of their players, rotation players.
Which is so funny because I think we said this hypothetically in like November. We were like, they're so good right now. Imagine if.
Yeah.
And it was a really big if at the time, and it's real.
Yeah.
That you've got these two seniors who are leading the charge of all these young guys who are coming back.
Yeah, should be another exciting year of Illini basketball. It should be a pretty exciting year of Illini football, and we are trying to keep up with all of it because you got a lot of new players. A year ago from now, I'm going to get too far into it, and I'm not even going to hit the commercial break. I was trying to tease it, but I just started talking. All right, welcome back. Now we will talk football. I got so excited about it, I almost just went right in before the commercial break. But what I was going to say is a year ago from now, it was so many returners, right, which is great. Like, that's a positive thing. But because of that, there wasn't as many, like, I don't want to say there wasn't questions, but you kind of knew, like, this guy, Luke Altmaier, right? You knew you got Hank Beatty. Like, actually, wide receiver was one of the spots we probably had more questions about last year, but you knew the O-line, like pretty much every starter there, right? You knew so many guys on that roster. And so in a way, and I asked Barry Lunny about this earlier today when we're recording this on Tuesday, it's exciting now to be like, oh, who's going to flash here? Who are we going to see play DN? Who are we going to, which other wideouts will they play? What about the tight end spot? Caden Fagan's there now. And how are they going to split up the running back uses with Caden Fagan out of that room and Jordan Anderson back in that room and another year of Khalil Valentine and Aiden Lawfrey? And so I think it's fun. Honestly, it has made our job, I don't want to say harder, but like we got to be really on our toes because it's not like, if I say, hey, let's get some video of the O-line at practice, it's not like, all right, I'll just get Melvin Priestley, I'll get J.C. Davis, I'll get Geske, I'll get Krutz.
It could be any of these guys.
It could be so many of these guys, and not to mention then the D-line. And so there are returners. I don't want to paint this as, oh, they got a total overhaul.
And new
right?
coaches
like,
we need video of.
Yeah, there's new assistant coaches as well, new defensive coordinator, a whole lot of new defensive staff, new tight ends coach, new special teams coordinator. So, but like I said, I don't want to paint it as like, oh, Illinois brand new football team. We don't know anybody on the team. Like Matthew Bailey is back, Xavier Scott is back, Colin Dixon. I mentioned the running back. So like there are plenty of returners. I don't want that to come off as when I say there's new faces. It's like it's 22 new guys out there, But
more than last year for sure.
Yeah, this is probably an average year. And last year was just an unusual year of a ton of returners. So that made it unique. But we have kind of been getting to know these new coaches and new players and stuff, and on Tuesday before we recorded this, talked to Barry Lunny, Bobby Houck, and Brett Bielema. Spring practices wrapping up, and so I think they've gotten most of this defensive install in, and then kind of trying to probably not put together a depth chart yet, but certainly get some eyes out there and see how guys continue to progress and develop. And speaking of new guys, they do have a lot of freshmen in the building too, including a lot of guys. Barry Lunny said it on Zoom when we talked with him earlier today. He was like, we got a lot of guys on the field that if they weren't playing college football, they would be going to prom right now or getting ready to throw the discus and track. And so those guys are 18, maybe, if that. And so a lot of new faces, but it has been cool to get to know new people this spring.
And one of the more underrated, I think, developments of Illinois football under Brett Bielema and why this success has been there is you see the depth growing. That's like just such a huge thing in college football. I mean, I think back to the Lovie Smith era where there were times where they had talent, at your starting positions, but that guy goes down and all of a sudden you got to play a freshman. I think pretty much, I mean...
That's why some of these guys had to burn their red shirts, guys now.
Yeah, knock on wood, they haven't had to go too far into the depth charts. But for the most part, it's, hey, you come in as a freshman, you can grow and develop and get used to just playing college football. I mean, even Braden Trimble, talked to him recently. He talked about getting hit in the mouth figuratively and literally in college football. And now he comes back this year more prepared to maybe play a bigger role, maybe catch some passes in this offense. So that's just such a huge part of college football. We talk about the transfer portal and getting talent, but being able to home grow with some of your guys and keep them in the program. They know the culture, but then they get a couple years under their belt in the weight room, then they can make an impact on the field.
Courtney, is there a player or coach this spring that you have enjoyed talking with?
I haven't gotten a chance to speak with him, so I'm going to subvert your question a little bit.
No, forget it. It's fine. I'm just kidding.
Well, I was gone for a week. Let's let the record show. But I've been really enjoying getting glimpses of Caden Fagan at tight end. This is a guy he's no spring chicken. He's been here for several years now, and it can't be easy to have to completely flip your mindset. But one of the last couple of times we've spoken to Brett Bielema, he says that the way Caden Fagan has been able to flip his mindset, you can almost see his wheels turning and like see the math equations playing out in front of him. And I think that's really neat and something to not be taken lightly and something to praise him for. So I've been enjoying watching him find comfortability there.
There's some local talent on the team that always makes it fun, right?
Yeah, makes it fun for us.
We'll talk about Caden, yeah, for sure, and more than that. But yeah, the new defensive scheme, which like Bobby Houck, when we talked to him today on Zoom, he said, which like I appreciated him saying this. He was like, we're not doing like a entirely. We're still playing football. We're still playing defense. Like I do think to some extent, and this is no one's fault, but to some extent, this new scheme has gotten like a little bit blown out of proportion this spring, as if like they're installing something. It's going to be a foreign language to these guys. Like, no, they recruited these guys who know how to play football. The coverages they run might look different. Like the strategy might look different, but they're not asking like a free safety to line up at nose tackle or anything.
I'm glad that he said that and that you are now saying this, because as somebody who has never worn a set of pads, it is interesting to hear, okay, how different
Yeah, when you say it's different,
be?
like what are we talking about here? Yeah, so like a different scheme, don't get me wrong, it is going to be much different and it'll look different to offenses, but like your defensive backs are still going to be guarding receivers, right?
Yeah.
Like and stuff like that. And so it's not like it's a new game.
Well, and I mean, in some ways, I think it can be. Like, I think certain positions, I don't want to say it's almost feels like a less of a big change from the current Aaron Henry, Ryan Walters-esque man aggressive type defense they were playing before versus this 3-3-5 and still aggressive but in different ways with blitzing and whatnot. I almost think the previous shift from the Lovie Smith Tampa 2 to that Ryan Walters Aaron Henry style defense was bigger, because I remember guys like Sidney Brown talking about how like it was the other scheme was so like rigid and they weren't able to like play fast. They were just thinking a lot and overthinking and not going and being football players and aggressively see ball, go get ball. It felt like they could do more of that in that previous defense.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's what this is supposed to be to even in a further extent. Just be aggressive and be on the attack. Like Bobby Houck talked today about like what does it look like when your defense is firing all cylinders. He said we're on the attack and the offense is off balance. And so I think that's the goal. And they have some really good defensive backs.
And I don't want to just say like, oh, I'm not a huge like break down all the film. What were they doing differently with Ryan Walters versus Aaron Henry? But some of the complaints with the defense last year under Aaron Henry was you're too conservative
enough.
Yeah, you're just sitting back, letting them take chunk yardage all the way down the field. So I guess maybe they may have gotten back to some of that Tampa 2. We'll try and force turnovers to get the ball back type thing. Some of that's dictated by personnel, I'm sure. Like when you have Devin Witherspoon, you want to get him in aggressive man situations. Yeah. Get him in a spot where he can go, blow up a running back in the backfield like he did at Indiana that one time. So, I'd say, if they can get back to more of that, like making your own luck. And if you can go get a turnover or if you can go, get a sack on first down, put the defense behind the sticks and then get off the field on third down. That's a huge thing as well that the last year's defense struggled with. So who knows what it's going to look like. Well, we'll be following it as we can. I think week 1 is really when we're going to get the biggest look at it.
And what will be interesting to see is if Illinois can then be more aggressive without giving up the explosive play. Because last year they didn't give up the explosive play too much, but it was because they were backing off a lot. And
Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah, and so can they be more aggressive? But you don't want it to be 9 of those 10 plays were great, man. You guys were aggressive. You're getting back to the quarterback, but the 10th one was an 80-yard touchdown, right? And so, all right, that's football talk. Quick break, and we'll wrap up the show when we come back. All right, welcome back. Quickly, NFL draft preview for you. When you're watching this, I guess depends on which day you're watching this or when you're watching this. Some of the guys might already be off the board, or some of the guys might already be picked. Brett Bielema said earlier today he expects Gabe Akis, no surprise, to be probably the first lineman off the board. Tristan, correct me if I'm wrong, he said probably J.C. Davis will be the next guy.
Yeah, and then Josh Gesky potentially, and then potentially Luke Altmaier are kind of the 4 guys you're watching with that. I mean, Gabe, obviously a premium position, edge rusher, day 2, or pretty much in that day 2, second round-ish, area. Right. And then from there, once you get to like 4 through 7, it's It's who do these teams really like?
Right.
I think some teams will like J.C. Davis with obviously what he did as a consistent player. Didn't get injured really. For the most part, was pretty reliable left tackle. Yeah, and good knock on wood there. And then also the arm length is a big thing. If he brings a wide reach there, and Josh Getsky's really helped himself out through the draft processes. Same thing with Luke Altmaier. I think as if you can get a reliable backup quarterback, that's valuable. That you can make millions of dollars doing that.
Yeah.
And
almost
I think,
as much as us.
yeah, no kidding. But I think Luke is going to be in that late round pick. Got to go prove himself. He's done that before. He did that here.
Just real quick names to look out for: Akis, J.C. Davis,
Gesky.
Josh Gesky, and then Luke Altmaier, and then just a few others, whether it be late rounder or undrafted free agents. Probably Hank Beatty, Miles Scott, Melvin Priestley, maybe Josh Kreutz,
James Thompson.
That's a few. I'm sure we're missing somebody, but what I expect is probably 3 or 4 guys get drafted, and then there were so many veterans, so many seniors on that team. I'm guessing we're gonna have like 18 articles to write about guys who
Right.
got a mini camp invite or an undrafted free agent signing or whatever it may be. All right, that's our show. We'll be back next week with Courtney and Tristan. I'm Glenn. Thanks for watching.